What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back again with another video continuing the Toronto Maple Leafs 2021 player previews. This is the captain, John Tavares. Now, we're getting close to the end of this roster. There's a few players that I'm going to have to add in. Like I didn't make a video for Mikko Lehtinen yet because his name wasn't listed on the roster officially, and I was just going down the list, and I'm like, oh my god, I didn't make a video for Lehtinen, and he's a guy that I'm very excited to watch. But now I'm towards the bottom of the list, and I was going through it alphabetically, and it's John Tavares, the captain, up next. So before I get any further into this video, make sure to subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Join the squad. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much. The season's coming, so lots of content is coming regarding games and stuff like that. So thank you for tuning in, and we will continue here. So like I said, the captain, a lot of people have been on this guy since he got here, which is insane. And I've made countless videos about this. I've talked about this in countless live streams. It doesn't matter what it is. The Leafs signing John Tavares will still forever be a good thing. And I know automatically I'm going to get in trouble for that. But what people need to understand is that this was arguably the biggest free agent to hit the open market in forever. Like, this guy was a guy that you don't see hit the open market. Usually they get traded from their original team because, you know, they want to get as much back as possible for him. You usually see them re-sign with their team that they were with for their entire career. But now we're seeing guys start to hit the open market, and Tavares was one of the first ones that I've seen in a really long time that got there. And when he signed in Toronto, people were really mad. The $11 million too much. They should have spent that on a defenseman. But what I keep having to say is that the Leafs organization knew that the salary cap was going to be going up quite a bit in the next coming years because of, you know, the big TV deal, the expansion with Seattle, and GMs and people around the league know way more than we do when it comes to just inside information on how much the salary cap was going to go up. And the Leafs would have had plenty of money to re-sign their own players and acquire new talent. I mean, they just signed TJ Brody, they signed Mikko Lehtinen, they signed all these guys, and they're tight to the salary cap, right? So with more money, they would have had more room to work with, and probably could have been in on bigger free agents, even with John Tavares. So you have to look at the big picture here. They wouldn't have signed John Tavares had they known that the salary cap was going to be very tight. They wouldn't have, because that's when you know that you have to go into other areas and spend in other areas. But they didn't know it was going to be, you know, a frozen cap for 3 years. Nobody would have predicted that. Other teams were offering this guy so much money. Like, Tavares was being offered $13-14 million from the San Jose Sharks. Teams were lining up to sign this guy at a huge number. Teams couldn't even get interviews with this guy. And he took $11 million to play in Toronto. He took less money. And, I mean, he put up career numbers the first year he got here, and he's been putting up big numbers even though he's been battling some injuries. And in the play-in round against Columbus, I know a lot of people were on him. I was on him a little bit too. But I went back and watched those games again, which was tough to watch. The Leafs had so many scoring opportunities. Tavares missed a wide open net. Like, the guy was really, really trying out there. And again, I say that because I don't like the excuse of just trying. But he really was, you know, he wasn't out of it. Like, he wasn't out of the game. He wasn't playing outside of the way that John Tavares plays. He was playing his game. But, man, he was getting robbed left, right, and center. He wasn't getting enough shots out. Columbus is a very good defensive team. But the Leafs were exposing them still. But there was times where Tavares would get stuck. And it was almost like it was frustrating to watch. And I'm sure he was so frustrated because he had so many scoring opportunities. They just didn't fall for him. And we ran into hot goaltenders on Columbus. So I'm not going to sit here and say that Tavares was awful in those play-ins. Would I have liked to see a little bit more from him? Of course I would have. He's the captain. He's a great hockey player. But it just didn't fall. The bounces didn't go for him. And this year, he's going to be coming back with some vengeance. I'm sure he wants to win. This guy is the captain. He's a leader. He wants to win. So let's look at some more numbers here. You know, he is 30. But he hasn't really slowed down. 6'1", 215 pounds. Obviously a veteran in the league, playing 11 years. Now, This past season, like I said, a lot of people said he had a bad season, but he had 60 points in 63 games played while battling injury. People seem to forget because this year was so unorthodox, but he did have, a bunch of injuries. The season before that, his first year in Toronto, 88 points in 82 games played, 47 goals and 41 assists. This guy is guaranteed to get you big numbers. And people were complaining, and I don't understand why. He put up career numbers, literally his best point totals, his best goal totals, and really, really high assist totals. His 2 seasons with Toronto in the playoffs, 5 points in 7 games, and then 3 in 5 in the shortened play-in round. And I think, like I said, he could have easily had 8 or 9 points with the opportunities that he was having. He was putting up a lot of shots. Like, look at this. In 7 games, so 2 less games, he had more shots on goal than 7 full games the year before. He was getting a lot of shots, and I'd love to see blocked shots because, man, he literally was firing. Like, he was firing from everywhere, and it just wasn't going his way. It really wasn't. And that, again, it's not an excuse. It's just, like, I really feel for the guy almost because he got criticized quite a bit. And like me too, like I was not happy with only 3 points. But then when you rewatch it, you clear your mind. Even if you don't like a way a guy played, you have to go back and you have to examine things. You have to go back and watch things because there were so many things that I missed the first time around being, frustrated, nervous. Leaf fans, we go a little crazy sometimes. Let's be honest. We're a little nuts anyways, but we go crazy watching these games. So let's just move over to his cap friendly. Like I said, that $11 million contract, full no move clause. This guy is going to be a Leaf for a very long time. But this isn't the main point of the video. This number would not be a problem had there not been salary cap issues in terms of what's going on right now. Within the next, 2 or 3 years, the salary cap was expected to go up like over $10 million. That's the difference between signing, a really good defenseman and being able to re-sign a really good player on your team. So every team in the league got affected like this. Like, you can literally talk about pretty much any team in this entire league and be like, yep, this is the player that they should have signed. This is the player that they lost in free agency. This is the player they could have traded for, but they didn't have the money. Like, look at the Canucks. Their team would be so much better if there wasn't any salary cap problems right now. They would be a much better team. They would have been able to hold on to Markstrom. They would have been able to hold on to some of their depth pieces in Levo. They would have been able to hold on to their top 4 defensemen in Tanev. There's so many teams that could have held on to their own players. Pietrangelo would have still been a St. Louis Blue. He would have, because they wouldn't have had as many problems. Sure, they signed Torrey Krug, but I'm guessing they would have liked to have kept their captain. So there's things all over the league that you can look at, and the Leafs are in a good position, even though people are going to think I'm nuts for saying that. But their 4 best players are locked up long term. They don't have to worry. There's still years on those contracts. I can't say, for the rest, for 8 years. But they're locked up for a significant amount of time where they don't have to worry about losing a starting goaltender. Freddie Anderson, sure, but not at the same magnitude as Markstrom. He carried their team a lot. Sure, Freddie has done that too, but he's not going to be as expensive, and the Leafs might be able to replace him. They might like Jack Campbell. I don't think he's the starting goaltender, but the Leafs have different ways of being able to do this. I'm not blaming an $11 million contract on the Leafs salary cap problems. I'm blaming something that nobody would have predicted, what's going on in the world right now, because there's too much to look at this Leafs roster and think, damn, like this team sucks. That's not true. That's really not. And I'm never going to blame the Tavares contract on that. So this could be a whole podcast. It could be a whole 1 hour thing that we could go through. I've always wanted to do another live stream and go through stuff like this. But let me just tell you right now, I think John Tavares is going to have another very good season for the Maple Leafs this year. I'm very excited to watch him play. He's the captain. Let's support this team. Let's support Tavares, and let's watch them win. You know what I mean? Let's watch them win some games this year. Let's be positive. So if you are new to this channel, make sure to subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video or stream. Peace.